Pokemon has very kindly sent over a load of the merchandise from the Pokémon Center for this weekend's Pokémon World Championships and Pokémon XP. For the first time ever, this year's merch will be themed both to the Pokémon World Championships and the side event Pokémon XP. Pokémon XP is like a fan convention for Pokémon that will take place alongside the World Championships, where the competitive players play for the big prizes. Like with all Pokemon events nowadays, the Pokemon World Championships and Pokemon XP will feature a pop-up Pokemon Center where all of this merchandise will be available. The pop-up Pokemon Center is no longer open for reservations, however there will be a separate Pokemon Center outpost as part of Pokemon XP. These items will only be available at the Pokemon Center. Here is this year's card binder. The card binder this year features a design with the Pokemon World Championships Pikachu on the front, and on the back it has the Pokemon XP Pikachu. Each of these Pikachus will also receive a special plush, however they were not sent to us for this video. We will be picking them up this weekend. Now we've got the keychain set, which features both the Pokemon XP and World's Pikachu, as well as the logos for both events. Next we have one of several pins that will be available at the Pokemon World Championships. The pin culture around Pokemon has really taken off in the past couple of years. Last year at the Pokemon World Championships in Anaheim, California, there was a pin rally, and the same thing will be taking place this year, where players and attendees can visit certain locations at the event and pick up special pins and try and collect all of them. We have Pikachu and Greninja on these pins here as Carlia falls in the background. Here are some more of the special event pins. You can see the Cosmog costume Pikachu and the Champions Pikachu, and that little Rayquaza bark train, which I think looks excellent. I wish they did some kind of statue or plush of that. And then you see the Pokemon SF 2026 logo pin showing off red, blue and green houses in a San Francisco style. Here's a commemorative coin showing off both events. All of these items will be available in the Pokemon Center. And as far as I know, this isn't everything that's going to be available. I already said that there's going to be Pikachu plush there that we didn't get access to for this video, and there's also going to be clothing like jackets and t-shirts for the event that we don't have quite yet. Here's another keyring showing off San Francisco 2026 and the red and blue to represent both sides of the event. Now here's one for the players, the TCG players specifically. This is the coin damage counter dice and condition marker set. These are a favourite collector's items for lots of the players that head to these events. They come with the coin, the damage counters. The other side of that coin has the Pokemon XP logo on it, I believe, and they're just a nicer way to play the game and remember this event. Similarly for TCG players, they have the double deck box there. Lots of TCG accessories. We didn't have the sleeves available to us at this time, but I believe there will be sleeves for both Champions and XP available at the Pokemon Center. Some competitive favourites shown off on the deck box there. And here's a foldable tote bag if you find yourself overwhelmed with the amount of Pokemon stuff you have to carry through the center. Here's another one of the pins. This is one of the fancier San Francisco, California 2026 pins, exclusive to the Pokemon Center in San Francisco. And now taking a closer look at one of 4 plush that will be available during the event. This is Carlia with her suitcase and little Butterfree on her hat. Little fairy type suitcase there. Carlia is an interesting pick, I think, compared to the other Pokemon. Obviously you have 2 Pikachu and a Charizard, which are the most popular Pokemon, but Carlia is an interesting one. It reminds me of a few years ago when the Pokemon World Championships was in London and they picked Roserade as one of the Pokemon. Last year it was the likes of Machamp and Jigglypuff that were the special Pokemon, but here he is, almost too big to fit in the frame. Having to move the pin bag out of the way, it is Charizard. Charizard with goggles on his head and a jetpack on his back. Why a Charizard would need a jetpack on his back, I am not entirely sure, considering he has big old wings, but maybe that's for space travel. That's why he's got his goggles on as well. This is the 30th anniversary year, and thus it is going to be the biggest Pokemon event ever. Of course they did a Charizard. I'm happy they did a Charizard because I love Charizard, but I can understand why some people would maybe think that other Pokemon should get a bit of a spotlight, but not me. I will take Charizard every day of the week. Here is the pin bag. Now the pin bag ties into the pins that I showed off earlier on in the video. As I said, this is becoming a much bigger part of these events. Players bring their pins from all over the world, from different Pokemon events, from different Pokemon products, and trade them with fans, or there are specific pin trading stations at the Pokemon World Championships where you can trade for official Pokemon pins, and it's a great way to get some interesting pins that you never had access to. At EUIC this year, which is the European Championships, I managed to trade for a Worlds pin from Yokohama, which was the World Championships in 2023, I believe. I never managed to actually go out there, so it was cool to get one of those pins. And for the final few things here, we have a nice Pokemon World Championships notebook. On the back, it shows off the Pokemon XP design. This is a good look at some of the Pokemon that are being featured, some of the ones that you don't typically see, that don't have exclusive merch. Again, I wish that Rayquaza Bart Train was a statue or a plush. The statue is actually a good point. There will be likely a statue to purchase at the Pokémon Center this year. There's always a little statue that shows off the Pikachu from that year, so hopefully I'm able to grab that. And also here, finally, the San Francisco water bottle for staying hydrated as you walk 50,000 steps around the Moscone Center for Pokemon XP and the Pokemon World Championships. Here is the playmat for Pokemon XP. I think there's also a Pokemon World Championships one that would have the orange design rather than this blue one with Pikachu, Jirachi and Charizard, but we'll find that out when we head to the Pokemon Center itself. And that's your first look at some of the merchandise available at the Pokemon Center for the Pokemon World Championships and Pokemon XP this weekend. The VGC will be there all weekend covering the show and checking out the Pokemon Center when it opens, so check back here for a full tour of the Pokemon Center and any exclusive items that we've not had a chance to check out so far. Thank you for your support, be sure to subscribe, and we'll see you next time.